right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Josh Taylor. And yes, we do. Good evening, everyone. Bob Pompeani here in the Fan Cave at 412-575-2600. Andrew Fillipponi is up at 93.7 The Fan. And tonight, we have it official. The Philadelphia Flyers and Pittsburgh Penguins will do battle first round best of 7 starting this weekend, most likely Saturday, although it could be Sunday. It's the Battle of Pennsylvania. It's Wawa versus Sheets. It's everything you want in a first round series, Andrew. And we're going to get to see it play out because tonight the Flyers needed 2 points, whether it was 1 tonight, 1 in their next game against Montreal. However, they got 2. Carolina had a 2-0 lead. They blew that. Flyers won it in a shootout. Your thoughts about what should be a very interesting first series for sure?
Yeah, it really will be. They've played 7 times in the playoffs, and believe it or not, the Flyers actually hold the all-time edge 4-3. The last time they played was in 2018, and the Penguins won that series. And the crazy part about that series was the Penguins lost 2 home games to Philadelphia. They won in 6. They won every single game that was played in Philly. They won game 3, 4, and 6 there and moved on, and that's the last playoff series the Penguins have won. This series will be about the Penguins and their aging stars, guys like Crosby and Malkin and Letang and Erik Karlsson, who's 35 years old, versus this young up-and-coming Flyers team. And Martone, for example, Bob, you know him. Good thing Michigan State season ended prematurely because he got to the Flyers as soon as that ended, and he got red hot for them from a goal-scoring standpoint. Then you mix in Mishkov, who was almost run out of Philly early in the year. He had a big falling out with Rick Tocchet that they were able to salvage. And Vladar in goal. He's not a household name, and who knows how he'll play in the playoffs, but he's probably the Flyers' MVP with the way that he was able to really calm things down in net for them. So the Penguins have all the big names. They've got history on their side. Sidney Crosby has dominated the Flyers over the years, but Philadelphia comes in playing good hockey, and you know their fans are going to be savages when the Penguins go there for games 3 and 4 in this series. Yeah, no question about it. They also have some experienced guys on their team. I think Travis Sanheim is a really good defenseman who's on the Olympic roster. Also, you have Travis Konechny and Sean Couturier. They've been through some of these battles before. Owen Tippett has grown into a very good player for them. You mentioned Mishkov. They do have a lot of talent. I think they're a little thin defensively overall, but I think the Penguins can exploit that, how they play. The big question we see tonight on our KDKA.com/Connect poll brought to you by Penn West University. Who would you like to see in goal? 3 choices: Skinner, Shilovs, or Murashov. And I would imagine tomorrow in St. Louis, you're not going to see hardly anyone. And I bet that Murashov should get a start there. Or if he doesn't, he's still someone in this playoff series. You never know how things are going to go, who could emerge at some point. Yeah. I don't know if he made the trip. I mean, I haven't seen any reporting on that, but you'd think if he's going to play there, he's already there and not with the baby Penguins who played in New York last week. Look, everything you said about Philadelphia maybe not having guys other than Sanheim on their blue line who fans know and recognize is true. But here's the thing about them as a team. They are top 10 in goals allowed. If you just go strictly by the numbers, the Flyers are a significantly better defensive team than the Penguins. Now, on the other side of things, the Penguins are far and away the better goal-scoring team. Their last check, 3rd in the NHL in goals scored, and the Flyers were near the bottom of the league. So we'll see what wins out in this series. Is it going to be the high-scoring Penguins or the goal prevention Flyers? Because it seems like their styles are definitely a clash going into this one, Bob. The Penguins want to outscore you, and the Flyers want to win games 2-1. And it still will get physical. Maybe not as nasty as some of those previous ones. But the Penguins, it's hard to believe. Sidney Crosby's been around here for 21 years, and yet this is the highest-scoring Sidney Crosby team
that he's played with. It's hard to believe how that all happened, but it's because Dan Muse believes in 4 lines, and he's gotten a lot of offensive production from his bottom 6 as well. We're going to take a break. We'll also talk about the Pirates. We showed you the highlights. They ran out of fireworks over at PNC Park. 16-5 they win that game. All of that is coming up. I want to hear from you. Call us at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Paul Skeens becomes the first Pirates pitcher in the modern era with at least 400 strikeouts in his first 59 career starts. And boy, he used a lot of different pitches, a lot of off-speed stuff tonight. And he really, you can tell that he's trying to develop a whole bunch of repertoire here that he could use as the season goes on. 6 strikeouts is kind of modest for him, but he had batters off balance pretty much all night. And most impressively, he got run support, Andrew. Last year, that was the story of the season, that he lost a lot of games, 2-1, 3-2, 1-0. And if he had gotten this sort of run support, his record would have been tremendously different, even though records are not what they used to be. But still, it's an interesting gauge of the fact that they did not win a lot of games when Paul Skeens pitched, despite him winning a Cy Young.
Yeah, they were 10-10, or his record was 10-10, and he had an ERA under 2, which should never happen. When you're that dominant, you should have 15 wins at bare minimum. They were just so many games. They scored 0 runs or no runs last year, and every game this season they've put up at least a touchdown, Bob, which is more than we can say about the Steelers' first quarter offense in the last couple of years. But look, you know, I thought Paul Skeens, to his credit, now he got incredible run support like we just talked about, but he gives up that first inning home run, grooved one in there to Abrams, and the game plan was really from there, change up. And maybe he had them guessing because they just load up for the fastball against him, but whatever it was, that was a great change of pace. He ended up only giving up that 1 hit, and if not for that 10-run inning, he might have come out and pitched the 7th inning tonight, but at that point, why even push it with him given the enormous lead that you had? So what I really liked about this game is they really beat themselves yesterday with self-inflicted wounds. They gave that game to the Cubs. They were up 5 runs. Between bad defense and walks, they gave that game back. And what you don't want to have happen is that create a snowball effect. They lost that game. They didn't hang their heads. They came out and they kicked butt tonight. And they had one of the best offensive games in PNC Park history. And Brandon Lau did something that's never been done before. He had back-to-back 5 RBI games as a Pittsburgh Pirate, which
crazy.
What an awesome start it's been to Brandon Lau's Pirate career and Ryan O'Hearn's Pirate career. Marcell Ozuna, not so much, though, Bob.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys who typically has these kinds of droughts maybe to start the season. I still think he'll be heard from, and when he does, this lineup could be very, very, very good. The left-hand power at PNC Park is just hard to ignore, and that's what they did. They brought in 2 very good left-hand hitters and it's paid a price so far. Let's go to the lines at 412-575-2600. We'll begin with Mike in Greensburg, our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. Mike, you're up.
Hey, guys. How you both doing?
Good, thanks.
Brandon Lau, by far, is the MVP of the season, in my opinion. And like you guys said, Ryan O'Hearn has been lights out.
Don't forget O'Neal Cruz. He would get some MVP votes.
Cruz, yes. I think with this staff, I think they can make a run.
I mean, I would love to. You know, the best thing, if we get into October and this team is in the playoffs and you see Paul Skeens on the mound and the way Ashcraft and, you know, Jared Jones was in that dugout tonight, he'll be back. You wonder how effective he will be. But, man, that's going to be awfully great to see. You know, especially when the football season starts, it normally goes all football, but that'll be an interesting choice, you know, you have to make in terms of what you're watching if they're on the same day, because it can come to that. But I want to see Paul Skeens on the mound in a postseason, and this could be the year that happens. And if so, man, you talk about just theater. That would be tremendous theater.
Yeah, and I would say that it's not a one-man rotation, at least not right now. Ashcraft is off to a tremendous start. Mitch Keller has been a quality start machine, and he's going 6 innings in every start, and he's holding the opposition to 2 or fewer runs. Now, he's no stranger to good starts. It's more for him about how he finishes versus how he comes out of the gate, but still, you love to see that from your highest paid pitcher. Bubba Chandler cut his walks way down on Sunday. It wasn't his problem late in games that guys were getting on and scoring via the free pass. He only walked 2 in that win against the Cubs. So, and then Majinski. I mean, Majinski, I still think is a relief pitcher, but he hasn't given up. The stat on him is crazy. He has not surrendered a home run in more than 60 innings. Goes back to like June of last year. It's an insane stat, and you know, so much of baseball now is trying to hit home runs, and you avoid that as a pitcher. You do a really good job, and Carmen Majinski, for a 5th starter, has proven that he can give the Pirates at least twice through the order quality innings.
Let's go to Jim and Greentree, who's up next. Jim, go right ahead.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
All right, Jim, go ahead.
Hey, I'm glad the Penguins are playing the Flyers, because when they play Washington, they always have trouble with that team. So, I'm glad the Penguins are playing the Flyers, because the Washington always they have trouble with them.
All right, well, yeah, honestly, I wanted the Flyers to begin with. I did not. I think the intrigue is great. I think the Penguins-Flyers rivalry over the years is one of those that you get memorable series. And as Andrew described at the beginning of this broadcast, they have had those. This is a whole different kind of Flyers team, though. This is not your Broad Street Bully Flyers, although they can get nasty at times. But, you know, Rick Tockett's one of those guys. I heard him on an interview. He says, I bleed orange and black. And I'm thinking, oh, boy.
I heard that, too.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
I mean, I guess he has to say it. But, man, if that's how he feels right now, he won his Stanley Cup here. He didn't do it there, and they haven't had one since 1975. But he's the coach of that team now, much like it takes me back, Andrew, to when Max Talbot made that commitment to sign a deal with the Flyers. And they end up playing the Penguins in the playoffs. So what a wild series that was. And he scraped it up with a lot of guys.
Yeah, I love Tocchet. I was invited to a Stanley Cup party one year, and I got to drink out of the Stanley Cup, and I got to take pictures with the Stanley Cup, so I can't. And that was as an assistant coach. So he won 1 as a player here and 2 on Mike Sullivan's staff.
Right. But
okay,
I'm talking
so
about
I've got
as
a
a player,
soft
right.
spot for him.
His rings are here in Pittsburgh. He should be bleeding black and gold.
Yeah.
I'm sure at the end of the day, when his career's over, he may tell you that. But for now, he has to do this.
And he's got Todd Reardon on that staff, too. Got run out of here because that power play was so bad a couple years ago.
He knows the Penguins and what they like to do. So he'll know exactly what they're thinking on the power play, especially, even though it's a little bit different.
You know, I understand that there's going to be a lot of, like, emotions and intensity and everything else that goes into this series, and that's going to be the fun of it. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I don't see the Penguins or the Flyers winning a short series. I think this is going to be a long series. They split the 4 games they played in the regular season. I think it honestly could go either way. I mean, you want to say Penguins because Sidney Crosby has been so great against the Flyers in his career, but it's not one man versus an entire roster. You like that Sid is leading the charge, but I think this series could go either way. I expect a very, very competitive matchup between these two teams, and I just hope the Penguins come out the better end of it, because it's going to really stink to have to deal with a Flyers postseason victory over the Penguins, because it would rain on what has otherwise been an outstanding parade this year for the Penguins, Bob.
Agreed. You'd love to have that, especially knowing that I think the East, you know, the Penguins, if they play their kind of hockey, can give every team trouble, and that includes Carolina, I would think. Buffalo and Tampa playing pretty good hockey, but I think they're beatable.
Well, they got to figure out a way to win in Carolina. They never win there, and that's one thing that
but
they have
lost
to get
2
off their
overtime
back in the
games
playoffs.
or shootouts this year. They played competitive games with them down there. They came back in the 1 deficit. I still think Carolina, if you're asking me right now, I think Carolina, this is their season to win a Stanley Cup, or at least get to a Stanley Cup final. They've been predicted to do so for so long, and it just hasn't happened. But they've been down this road before, and I think that serves them well in this, so we'll see.
Well, they might. Are they going to get Ottawa or Boston? Because Ottawa can beat them. Ottawa would be a very tough first-round series.
I think.
Well, I don't like that for Carolina. That to me, that's got upset potential there.
Well, I would say Boston does too. Boston's been playing really well. All those teams in that Atlantic Division have played pretty good hockey. Their point total suggests that. So, you know, you're right. I mean, it could happen, but I think Frederik Andersen's playing so well. They play such a good style of hockey as a team. And they also use 4 lines. One more call before we got to go to a break, and that would be Evan in Moon Township. Go ahead, Evan.
Hey, Bob. How are you?
Good. What's up?
So the Pirates have been doing really good, and I was hoping, do you think they have a chance to make the postseason this season?
Yeah, sure they do. I mean, this division, I still think, I'm not going to assess too much until you get into probably the beginning of June, Andrew. What is your date that you'd look to try to figure out, okay, this team is either real or not? If you get into June and you're still at the top or near the top playing good baseball, then I say there's a legitimate chance, whether it's a division or a wild card, it's a possibility and a good one.
Well, Jim Leland always used to talk about Memorial Day. Okay, so that's something that's on my mind. You get to that 2-month part of the season, you're pretty much a quarter of the way to a third of the way through the season. I think you can start to separate the wheat from the chaff at that point. But, I mean, right now you've got teams like Houston's in last place. The Cubs are in last place. The Red Sox are in last place. So there's a little bit of an upside-down nature to the standings at the moment. But, look, I think the Pirates, unlike a couple years ago when they got off to that hot start in April and some of us got on the bandwagon, 20-8, I think this is a much more realistic and sustainable start to the season.
I do too. It was also good tonight to see Connor Griffin get off the schneid, get a hit to the opposite field. 10 runs in an inning. We haven't seen a lot of things, and you're right. Lau, 10 RBIs in 2 days. We'll come back with Jamison. You'll be next when we come back here, Jamison. Hang on the line at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We are here, as the show says, nightly, so call us. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi back with you. Jamison joins the conversation right now, and Jamison is in Homewood. Go ahead, Jamison.
I think the Pirates are a good overall team, but their bullpen is a little bit shaky. What do you think they could do? Got
good instincts there, Jamison. The bullpen can be good. I think Santana's a good closer. I'm not worried about him. I think Soto is good as well. I worry if they have to get into the bullpen a little earlier. We've seen some cracks in that, Andrew. So, and the other thing is just innings pitched. You want starters to go longer to make it a little easier, so you don't have to worry about innings 6 and 7 so much, more so 8 and 9.
Yeah, I would say at the beginning of the year, the last 6 outs seem like they're pretty solid with Soto and Santana. I agree with you on that. I think Matson has even been probably their next best guy, and he pitches in a lot of high leverage situations. Yeah. It's Montgomery who walks a lot of people. Lawrence. It's obviously Lawrence who's come in and had major problems. And they're long guys, too. Urquidy came into this game and gave up runs. I mean, you got to throw strikes when you've got such a big lead. So maybe some of that was that issue. Barco got sent down for Sisk, who was on the team last year, who they got in the Bailey Falter trade. So, yeah, I would say if I'm ranking weaknesses, it's fielding and defense 1 and then bullpen 2 right now.
Tony, we're out of time. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
All right, Bob. We'll do it again tomorrow night.
We'll do it again tomorrow night. Another game to talk about, and we'll have more on the Penguins and Flyers, which will be coming up on the weekend. Looking forward to it. That's going to do it. Thanks for joining us here. We'll see you on KDKA News at 11 o'clock. Have a good night.